Ready? Okay, come on, yeah. We out of control.
So this is the dash insert for the Lexus. This is the old dash on the Lexus. Really, the parts that I'm interested in are which of these go to the blinkers and which of them go to the high beams. And which, that's it, really. It's a lot of stuff on a modern dash. Traction control, clearly not needed. Check engine light, I'm going to have my own. Airbag, I don't care about. Brake, for the emergency brake, I guess I could care about it. I never use my emergency brake because it's an automatic. I could probably rig something up if I wanted for that. Doors open, I don't care. Seat belt, I don't care. Alternator light, I have a voltmeter. Oil pressure, I have a meter. Fuel gauge, I have my own fuel gauge. Temp, I have my own temp, and speedometer and tach. So I thought about trying to incorporate part of this, maybe for the shifting part. I decided I don't care about that. I have a shifter, it's marked, I'm not worried about having that. This is a little bit of the old school part of this build, but I don't care about having that stuff, and so decisions need to be made, and that's going to be one of them. I'm not really going to destroy this in any way, so I suppose if I'm really bored, I can try to incorporate more of that later. I doubt that's going to happen. So, challenge is I do need these gauges to fit inside of here. They're not going to fit at this angle, but they do need fit inside this area, and there are 6 of them, and I think we're going to be able to do it based on my ability to stuff them in here like this. So I'm going to guess if I can get them in there like that, then I'm going to have enough room. I did order a separate check engine light that it's going to run off of the check engine wire from the ECU for the LS1. I got separate right and left blinkers, and I got a high beam. So there'll be enough room somewhere in here to mount those. That's going to be part of the trick. Done this before for my 510. First step, use some cardboard, cut out that shape back there, and then start cutting some holes for the gauges and see what happens with that. Cardboard has been cut out, so now we'll put that on there and get to tracing. So now that I have it traced, I'm going to cut it out slightly bigger because it's going to basically get glued to this part right here, so I want it slightly bigger. So, fits in there pretty damn nice. So one of the things you can do, at least with the big gauges, the little ones don't have the same mounting system, but you can use that because that's exactly the hole that you need, and test fit where those things might fit. So that gives us a halfway decent little idea of that. Trying to think ahead when it comes to blinkers. High beam, probably put high beam here, blinkers up here, and check engine light somewhere else. interestingly, in this space, there's no way to actually have these two next to each other, which makes for kind of an interesting layout, but kind of cool in another way. But if you move these over here, you can get one in, but you can't get two in. If you put, I haven't tried this, but put two there, one, this might work, 2, 3, 4, alright. So I like something that looks kind of symmetrical, but that looks like that might work. So this little guy might not look like much, but what it does is pretty much match the circumference of that outside rim, and then the inside more or less fits over the top. I am sure there are better ways to do this, but for my purposes, this is how we're going to do it. It allows me to put a ring in here. We have our shape that's going to fit in there. Got all the gauges. That's just how they're going to fit, so I'll probably put check high beam, check engine light, blinkers. I can figure that out later. This is ABS. I got this a while back for a splitter project, maybe. It's not wide enough to be a splitter. I haven't used it for anything, but it'll be nice for this. So I'll cut this thing out. So I cut it out, and that's what it looks like in there without any holes cut. Back side, I just trimmed it so that it fit right in here, right in there, and right around there, and in there. I will seal this in with probably goop, just like a clear adhesive. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with how that looks right now. So now, here's the good thing. I have a giant sheet of this stuff, so if I were to screw this up, not a huge deal. But now it's a matter of transferring this stuff onto that sheet. And it pretty much matches exactly. So I need to get hole saws that are that size and that size, and then we should be good to go cutting things. The nice thing about making holes really tight is these have good ways of mounting, but if you leave it tight, it'll actually be like an interference set for you, which is kind of nice, so you don't even really need brackets from the backside. So those are cut out. Nice thing about ABS is that this extra stuff pretty much just flakes off of there. If you go slower, you don't get as much of it, but it's not that difficult to take off. Ish. Okay, so I'd rather be too tight than too loose with the way, I mean, these come with easy things to mount them, but I kind of want to just press fit them in there. So all of these holes are slightly small. So this almost goes in, but it doesn't. So I'm going to wait, get my Dremel tool, and then I'll be able to make all these slightly bigger. It's a little extra work, but having done it before, I kind of like how it goes. That'll be it for tonight. Fine. But that gives you a look at what it's going to look like. Okay, so we continue on. That is that just sitting in there. Ordered my rotary tool, or I use a Craftsman. I've never had an actual Dremel. 276 pieces for like, I don't know, 23 bucks. Most importantly, it's got a lot of the barrels that I need and want. So, bust this guy open. Plan is to use these to make these slightly bigger and then press fit them in, so I'll show you that later. Okay, so you can see how this goes. I did just enough. You have a little extra room because you got this lip, so it doesn't have to be exact, but what you want, if you're going to do it this way, is to do just enough that this basically interference fits in here, and I'm probably going to take a little more out because that is very tight, but you get the idea. Nice thing working about with ABS plastic is that it's so easy to work with. Interesting, so I think these gauges actually get slightly bigger toward this end. You can see how that fits in there. It's not quite flush, and you would never be able to tell in a million years from this vantage point, but it's not quite flush because I need to kick a little more out of there. But welcome to construction noises in the background constantly. But so this is the gauge update. This is going to go behind a shielded panel, so any thing you see on here that doesn't look like perfect, you're not going to be able to tell. I thought about remaking this part. Call me sloppy. I don't feel like it. This isn't hard to get to, so if I really want to do this as a winter project, I will, but right now I just want to get this thing going. So I have head highlight, or head high beam, 2 blinkers, check engine light, and then all the other gauges. So now I need to wire things up. I have a bunch of grounds, a bunch of positive 12 volts, and a bunch of leads. So the important thing that's kind of nice about this setup, and we'll see what I mean here. This is how the stock Lexus stuff was. This is very dark, so when you put this over there, the Lexus dash was always lit up, so I'm going to have this always lit up, which simplifies my wiring a little bit, because I don't have to worry about wiring a specific 12 volt light switch on. That is not that big of a deal, but it does allow me to just worry about having 12 volt switched and grounds along with the sending part of it, and that's it.
I'm ready. Ready? Okay, come on. Yeah. We out of control. It's out of control. We out of control. It's out of control. It's out of control. Off the chain.